well, before, I guess you said you're from Detroit, your hometown, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess could you kind of tell me a little bit about Detroit back then? I guess the era that you may have been in, well, I guess the early 90s or late 80s kind of era, kind of growing up when you kind of viewing it, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot of pride in the city, and I grew up a little bit. I grew up outside of the city, like in the suburbs of Detroit. So I wasn't like right in the heart of the city, but was definitely surrounded by the blue collar work ethic, and basically everybody had either themselves or had a family member that worked at one of the big car companies, and so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of cars around. There's definitely like a really strong sports like community around there. So I mean, like I was playing hockey from like when I could walk. That was the first sport, and then anything that I could do where I could be aggressive and competitive, I was into. So I played hockey and football and basketball, baseball, and wrestling, and there was definitely a lot of like athletics, around me, and definitely a lot of pride that I think gives you like a sense of like maybe confidence and a sense of community too, that that is really strong. When I went to high school, my high school was closer into the city, and that definitely opened me up to different experiences, seeing a different side of the city and stuff, and we had to go play our football games at a different high school because like we just had like a dirt field that we would practice on and stuff, and it definitely built a lot of character through that, but it's a great city and an incredible music town. So there's a really great underground hip hop scene that I fell in love with as a young kid. Around middle school is when I really got into that whole like culture behind the DJing and the breakdancing and graffiti and just the whole energy and the storytelling around it, and combining poetry with music, and that I got really into. And there's a lot of really talented underground artists, again with a lot of pride,
Sure.
when you come from there. And so the music community is great, and there's a lot of history, with Motown and several other artists that came out of Detroit that give you a sense of like, well, if you're interested in pursuing a career like this, there's people from here that have made it happen, and there's a lot of history to kind of look from and gain a little bit of confidence from.
Yeah, no, definitely. And one thing I do know about people from, well, at least Michigan or Detroit in general, that they're real passionate about where they're from and
Oh, yeah.
about the sports things and everything. So that's pretty cool.